Oh, Joel! That guy got faked the punch. Hey, Joel! Don't fake a hate crime today, Joel! Don't fake any hate crimes today! Keep that megaphone away from your face, Joel! Don't fake any hate crimes, Joel! Don't punch yourself, Joel! Don't punch yourself again!
For those of you who are listening, and for context, I'm going to check the audio in a second. I spent an hour trying to fix the audio issues. If there's a divergence, you know what? Before I even go, this is how neurotic I am, people. I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to listen to myself for 1 second. Do I hear myself? Am I muted? No. I'm going to go to locals. Am I muted? Locals, let me... One of these days. Am I muted and can people hear me? I'm going to go to locals where I know I'm going to get non-joking responses. You are not muted. I can hear you. Sounds great. Did you hire a professional? Oh, hallelujah. Let's just start all of this again. For context, people, for those of you who are listening to this video and you don't know who Joel Harden is, member of the Ontario New Democrat Party, sitting member of provincial parliament, he is the man who, at the protest that I attended as a journalist or journalizing, documenting reality, lied about having been punched in the face at the Education Not Indoctrination protest back in Ottawa over the summer, lied about having been punched in the face by an anti-trans protester. He lied. The aggregate knowledge of the interwebs discovered that he actually banged his own megaphone into his own face and then had the balls to lie to the world about having been the victim of a fake hate crime. So this is reporter on the street, and I'm using the words reporter and journalist obviously for context because of what we're going to talk about today. Pleb the reporter, Pleb the trucker, heckling Joel Harden the liar.
And try to claim a hate crime. No fake hate crimes today, Joel.
By the way, he's got his 2S LGBTQIA plus goons with him again, blocking him with a poster, a banner. What the hell do you go to a protest for? To cover your face and to protect yourself from being seen. You go to a counter protest so that people can see you and hear your counter protest words. This is virtue signaling cowardice of the highest order. Anyhow, we don't need to play the whole thing. It is Pleb the reporter, Pleb the trucker. Some would say berating. Others might just say heckling the living bejesus, and rightly so, out of Joel Harden, hate hoaxer, hate crime hoaxer.
Oh, he's gonna punch himself. Oh, here we go. Be careful. Smash it. Smash the like button. Joel. Fake hate crime. Fake hate crime. Fake hate crime.
Oh, okay. And at one point you saw Joel pretending that he couldn't hear, but saying like, "Oh, I can't hear you." All right, people. How's it going? There's news that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to talk about it later tonight or tomorrow, obviously. The British government is now inquiring with social media platforms, TikTok yesterday, Rumble today, as to whether or not Russell Brand is able to monetize his content on their platforms. And TikTok apparently confirmed that he can't monetize his response video, and I think that they confirmed that he's not monetized on their platform anymore. What is it called when government works in concert with private enterprise and media to promote a common interest? It's called fascism. And we're living through it right now. They are playing for our freedom for keeps, and they are playing dirty and they're playing hard. And nobody's going to know better than that than today's guest. Okay, so standard intro disclaimers: no medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice, super chats, rumble mans, you know all that stuff. We're going to end on YouTube sooner than later because piss off YouTube. I'll post this later to YouTube, but YouTube is my now secondary backup and not my go-to. Rumble is my exclusive go-to. So we're going to end on YouTube and go over to Rumble. We're going to have the after party at locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. The guest today, I'm the host today. I guess I'm the host every day. The guest today, Stephenehorn. The question that is going to be the question of law is, what is a journalist? Is Stephen Horn a journalist? And was Stephen Horn just charged with and convicted of crimes of being a journalist? For those of you who don't know, and in our locals community, someone rightly said, when you have a guest, always include a bit of more of a description than what I've been including. I will. You're going to hear his story today. Stephen, I can see you in the back. You're good to come in? There we go. People, Stephen Horn, and let's hear this story. Share away, everybody. Share the Rumble link. Don't share the YouTube link, obviously. We're going to hear some outrageous injustices today. Stephen, because I have adjusted my audio, could you just give a quick audio, and I'm going to let the locals community tell me if our audio levels are good.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, thank you for coming
on. How long do you want me to talk for?
I'll let the chat catch up and tell us if one of us is way blown out. Thank you for coming on. And like I told you before, I'm gonna ask too many questions, and you're gonna have to rely on your good judgment as to what you should not answer. But look, before we even get into everything, 30,000-foot overview as to who you are, for those who may not know.
Yeah, so I'm an independent journalist. I'm from the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I really prefer reporting on local stories, but on January 6th, I ended up reporting on the riot at the Capitol, which I was not expecting. But when I found myself there with a camera, I did my best to, cover the newsworthy events that, began to develop.
Now, I've got to ask you this. Everybody in my community knows I'm a bit obsessive about it. You look about as young as my oldest nephew. How old are you?
25.
Yeah, you're almost, you're a little older than my oldest nephew. Dude, so you're 25, born and raised in South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah. Cool. On North Carolina has portions that are on the beach, correct? Or is North Carolina...
So there's the East Coast, the Outer Banks. There's sort of a chain of islands out there, and then a inner beach as well.
All right, cool. And we're not going to waste too much time on childhood. But I do have to know, siblings, how many siblings in your family?
Yeah, I have an older brother and an older sister.
Okay, so you're the youngest of three. Okay, interesting. What are you allowed to say what your parents do or did for a living?
Yeah, so I'm a computer programmer. I work at our family's sort of small computer software firm.
Okay, very cool. And that's all I'm going to ask. That's as intrusive as I'm going to get. Youngest of three, interesting. Parents are not psychiatrists, which would also have been interesting, jokes aside. So you studied computer science. Did you study journalism? This is going to be relevant only because of where we're going with this discussion.
Yeah, so I didn't, officially study either, computer science or journalism. I was homeschooled, so I, basically learned both the same way, which is sort of picking it up through experience.
Homeschooled for your entire elementary and high school experience?
Yes, and I also did college from home, distance education.
If you do college from home, though, you have professors that are not your parents, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got a degree from Thomas Edison State University, which is in New Jersey.
Okay, very cool. That's interesting. So you did elementary, high school, and university from home. I'm going to ask maybe not an obvious question. Do you have a fear of crowds, or do you have agoraphobia or anything? Or is this is just a decision that the way your life?
I'm not afraid of crowds, but if I'm in a crowd like January 6th or like the riots I've covered, I am definitely very wary, but no agoraphobia.
All right, now, so explain to us what you would consider to be your journalistic history, which is going to be relevant in terms of whether or not people recognize you as a journalist or an insurrectionist with a camera. What has been your what you would consider to be your experience in journalism?
Yeah, so growing up, when I was still a teenager, our family did a 21 DVD documentary series on the Civil War. So we traveled across America, filmed on location at pretty much every major Civil War site. So I had quite a bit of, video, audio, documentary experience from that. I also worked on a project in Nigeria where we, as part of a mission trip we discovered that the headmaster of an orphanage or boarding school that was being funded by the United States, he was abusing his students. So we sort of did an investigation. We went over there for a week, interviewed a bunch of witnesses, victims, etc. Put that into sort of a video project to share with both the ministry and, the general public who funded them. That was sort of the, projects I had done before I started doing independent journalism. where I was publishing my own stuff in the summer of 2020.
Okay, that's very cool. So I watched your interview with Alison Morrow. Everyone should give it a watch, but it's going to be outdated now because that was before your trial, and now you have since been convicted. So when you described your prior journalism experience and making the documentaries, you did that with as I say, a family project, and not to be demeaning or belittling, but you did that with your parents as part of your homeschooling, and it was like a bona fide, legit.
Yeah. I mean, you can find it in some national parks.
That's flipping cool. Is it on YouTube?
No, I don't really want to say the name, but
okay, forget it.
I don't want it to get kicked out of the national parks.
Okay, fine. No. Understood.
Yeah, but it was professionally done. We had a videographer with professional experience. We had all professional camera gear, and then us running around doing everything else.
And the other one where you went to what country was it again?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. And so if you go with a mission, I presume that you come from a religious family?
Yeah, so my dad is a pastor.
Okay. So you go to Nigeria and expose abuse within an orphanage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I the story ended up getting picked up by the Nigerian media once we had done sort of this this initial investigation and further investigation later. And so one of the things that we presented to the judge in one of the motions, arguing selective prosecution motion sort of on First Amendment press grounds, was a letter from the Nigeria Union of Journalists basically saying, hey, Stephen worked on this project. It was a good journalism project.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going to get into it now. So we're going to end this on YouTube. It changes nothing from our end. I'm just going to go end on YouTube. Everyone, you got the link to Rumble, and I'll give everyone the link to Locals afterwards. So end on YouTube now, and come on over to Rumble